that run themselves. We want to really focus on how you can help your business with recurring revenue and having recurring marketing systems. We've got a panel of experts here that's going to share some incredible tips for everybody. I'm excited to dive right in. This is the Executive Edge live panel. I'm Harley Green. I'm the founder and CEO of Workergenix, where we help executives and leadership teams stay focused on high impact activities by delegating the rest to highly skilled AI leveraged ultimate executive assistants. Today's conversation is about growth. It's going to help growth focused leaders get the information they need to hear. We're talking about marketing systems that run themselves, systems that bring in leads and revenue without requiring constant effort from you or your team. Our panelists are going to share proven ways to create predictable revenue, leverage automation tools, and free yourself from the marketing grind. I'm honored to be joined by an incredible group of experts who have each built scalable marketing solutions in their own businesses for their clients. First, we've got Frank. He's the founder of Optus Marketing. He's the creator of Optus Website Bundle, and Frank helps businesses build automated SEO, content, and social foundations that consistently drive results. With nearly 30 years of experience and a background teaching at 6 universities, he's helped companies grow 2x to 24x by mastering the essentials first. Next, we've got Alex. He's an automation specialist and co-founder of multiple businesses. From a school dropout to architect to an automation innovator, Alex specializes in healthcare data, process automation, and market automation for industries like pharma, insurance, and health tech startups. As a co-founder of Arts API, Automate This, and Harmon.io, he's passionate about making automation both accessible and transformative. Next up, we've got Eric, founder of Pocket Capital and DoFollow.com. Eric runs Pocket Capital, a holding company investing in early stage digital services, and DoFollow.com, a link building and AI visibility company for B2B SaaS. He brings firsthand experience in scaling, visibility, growth, and recurring revenue through smart marketing infrastructure. And last, but certainly not least, we have Melanie, a fractional CMO and founder of Omicals LLC, blending mindset, brand clarity, and operational efficiency. Melanie works with leaders ready to scale. She is a sought-after speaker and international author of 3 books on culture-driven brands and brings deep insight on how to align brand, culture, and systems for sustainable growth. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to dive right in. What does marketing that runs itself mean to you, and why is it so important for business leaders today?
I'll start this one. I love the whole marketing that runs itself, because so often it is perceived that marketing is something you can outsource and just give to the cheapest person. And the reality is you get what you pay for with marketing. So marketing that runs itself is credible. It is directly targeted to your audience, and it connects with your audience, which shortens the sales cycle and also reduces the amount of time that you need to spend on a day-to-day management perspective to make sure that you are consistently generating results.
Love that. Anyone else have anything else they want to share?
No, I would just also say that, in the past, we've tried to build marketing systems that all centered around like having people that play a different part in the system overall. With the advancements in technology and AI, like it's really easy to build systems that will just, you build the system once and it just runs by itself every month. So it's a lot lower lift to get a lot more impact these days.
I want to take a moment to address some of the skeptics that might be listening, because when the title came out and I was sharing it with some other folks, one of the pieces of pushback that I got was marketing that runs itself sounds a lot like passive income. And it's kind of that holy grail that people immediately think with using the example with passive income, that somehow magically checks arrive in the mailbox. And since all of us work on the internet, we understand that mailbox money comes from work that was done at some point. It's just sort of detaching the work from the revenue. And that's kind of what we're getting at here with marketing that runs itself. It's not some magic thing that you don't have to do anything and it's just going to do its own thing. Instead, you're separating the work that you did from the leads and the results that you're getting, and creating a system that you're able to just check in on from time to time. Another way of looking at it is that you're leveraging the hours that you're putting into your income, with the passive income example, or your marketing, to try to connect those to ideas that I think other people are already wrestling with.
I love how Frank said that. The way I describe it to my clients is you have timeless and you have timely. You want to automate as much as possible the timeless. And what is timeless is something that can be used today, tomorrow, and with minimal tweaking 3 years from now. That's timeless. Timely is anything that is relevant today, tomorrow, and if you're lucky, next week. That cannot be automated effectively and have the same results as what you are expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. You said you used the term system, and I think, or what we've seen in all the automations we built is need to know what you want to automate and what you want to create a system for. So in order to build a system that runs itself and is hopefully valid next week or next year or in a century, is the most important thing is to clearly see and know what is working and what is not working, actually. So you need to walk through your whole marketing system once, at least once, very likely a few hundred times, in order to understand what is actually working. And this is the thing you can automate in the end. So, and this is going to run itself because you built in the time and understood the need, the target group, and so on. And then you can automate it. It's the same thing, like you need to build a car in order to know how to build a factory and the manufacturing street. So
I love that, because that is such a frequent problem that I see. I literally had a conversation with somebody yesterday about exactly this. They wanted to set up a email marketing automation system. And as I asked some more questions exploring what they wanted to do, their goal was to not have to send the emails.
yeah.
And so they just
Amazing.
wanted a system that would send the emails with no idea of what needed to be sent or what result they would like to have come from this. But they personally don't want to be the one writing the emails. And so if they could just have some system that magically does that and results in sales, that's what they'd like. So getting people to understand that the first step in creating that automation is figuring out what's working before we start repeating the thing.
Yeah, totally.
Figure out what works and then repeat what works, rather than repeating what doesn't work.
That is
Totally.
a lot more effort to fix if you don't test it first before you build the automation.
I mean, Eric said in his first statement that it is viable, it is working actually to build something that runs itself, especially now with AI. So you can have your workforce using agents and AI also to learn and to experiment. So it is possible to build a system that basically starts running itself and learns from its own loops and from its own mistakes, in email, open rates, click-throughs, blah, 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 all this stuff. But in order to do that, you need to create like at least a baseline and at least what is the outcome you want to achieve, right? So.
Yeah, I'm hearing a theme here. It sounds like really mastering the basics first, getting kind of a core system, making sure you've got the KPIs, measurements, and then you can add all the great stuff, technology, AI, virtual assistants on top to make that all automated. Frank, one thing that you really focus on is mastering the basics first, and you've kind of mentioned that here in the intro. What are some of the core marketing systems every business should have in place before adding the advanced automations that we're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly why I put together the website bundle that we offer, is that I see this type of mistake happening over and over again. And I always, just to make it clear that this is not a sales pitch, I always say that everything costs either time or money. So you can DIY this. You do not have to spend any money to get these things done. Every business at the foundation should have a website that works, needs to be more responsive. These are very common problems even today. About 60% of the traffic is on mobile phones, and I, to this day, keep seeing websites that are horrendous to completely unusable on a mobile device. So first, a functioning website. That website needs to be driving goals for your business. Driving leads, driving sales, what have you. This is a form of automation where I see people paying for ads, driving traffic to a website that doesn't convert, and then wondering why they're not getting a positive return on their ads. Well, because your website is garbage. So fix that, then worry about the ads. Once you've got a website that works, that actually drives some conversions, you also need to be publishing something new on that website at least once a week, and you need to be publishing something on your social media channels at least once a day. The vast majority of businesses aren't doing these very foundational elements. And if you do those things, what everybody here is talking about, having access to data, if you give me 365 social media posts and 52 blog posts, I can start looking at the data and telling you what you should do more of and what you should do less of. But if you've published a website 5 years ago and never published anything on social media and never published anything on your website, we don't have any data to work with yet.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, I think that you should also build your website with your buyer in mind. Like if you're going to be charging a premium price, and they should come to your website, and it should have a premium feel. You should have built a website that speaks to your audience. I also think it's really important to build out language around the website. First of all, you sort of have to do like ICP research. You have to understand like who you're speaking to, like what your buyer persona is, and what sort of KPIs are they being measured on, or are they going to be looking at, and then build a unique perspective around that. I think it's important to have a point of view on your website about your particular industry, something that differentiates you. I think it's important to have methodology on your website, so proprietary methodology, so that people understand what your point of view is on this and how you can help their particular situation. Fully agree with everything that Frank says. Just to go a level deeper, I think it's important to showcase values on the website as well.
Yeah, totally. I think just to add to this, I think the analogy I like to use with my clients is each part of your system is basically an employee which works 24/7 for you. And if you don't train your employee in order to that he or she knows what to say to a potential lead, it's going to be a problem. So if you want to sell shoes and you have a shoe store and you put a chef into it and say, okay, do your thing, then probably the chef is the wrong person to sell somebody's shoes in a shoe store. So I think that's a very simple analogy. Almost everybody grasps immediately. So yeah, we need to treat all these assets as single employees. We need to train. We need to give them all the knowledge and the tools they need to convert. So yeah, that's my take on this. And I think that's super easy to understand them.
Within my business, we have a lot of small business clients that, getting to what Eric was talking about with the personas and such, they haven't considered those things at all. So one of the things that we have is a form that in beginning a project, they just fill it out and it asks them some questions about their business. And then we blend their answers in the form with some prompts to language models that creates those buyer personas and such. A lot of the value that I see with using the language models is moving the conversations forward and helping to fill in some gaps, because it's a lot easier for a client to say, I love that or I hate that, rather than trying to come up with the entire persona themselves. So we leverage the technology to try to keep people moving through the stages of the funnel. And this applies broadly to all businesses. Think about all of the friction points that you have with your potential clients, and how do you shift that conversation from a blank page where they have to answer something over to a few different options, and they can just tell you what they love and what they hate. You can move the project forward much faster.
Totally. Now it's
Yeah.
like a few days instead of like 6 months earlier.
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
Well, I want to shoot over to Melanie real quick, because I think building off of what Frank just said, Melanie's got some great background with having brand clarity and bringing that into operations. So Melanie, I would ask you, how does a strong brand foundation enable the marketing systems to work effectively in the background?
That's a great question. What's interesting is, to build off of the conversations we've already been having, is I find in working with companies, they tend to, they are the expert in whatever their field is. And in being the expert, they forget to step outside of that expert mindset and get into the voice of the customer. So just because you describe a problem one way doesn't mean that your potential customer is going to describe it or use that same languaging. It also does not mean that the SEO or the AI search is going to funnel you the same way as how you would describe your own business. So usually when companies are not being found, they're having a hard time converting, it's because they've positioned themselves as they see themselves. And they've not taken the time, or they've not engaged with somebody who understands how the algorithms work, how the algorithms sort content, so they can be found by their next best client. I was once working with a company who, to just look at the data. So first of all, I tell my customers, numbers never lie, but they also don't tell the whole truth. You need to know what data you're looking at and what the data actually means. Because if you don't, you're going to convince yourself that this data is really, really important, when it could be lying to you or telling you that you have a red flag instead of a green flag. So this one client I was working with, they had to just look at their website numbers. As far as views and engagements, it all looked good. However, when you dove down into the analytics and you looked at how their site was being compared to potential competitors or others in the industry, they were actually being positioned as a spam website and not a credible authority in their industry.
Oh no.
Yeah, massive
Oh.
problem. So to just look at the data, great, you have so many, thousands upon thousands of views and engagement, but it's all the wrong audience. To go back to the high-end example, if you're selling a Porsche in a Walmart parking lot, guess what? You're not going to generate very many sales. You're not going to be found, and no one's going to be interested. So you got to make sure that the numbers matter, that the data, that you understand what the data is telling you. And in doing that, your messaging matters. When done right, your messaging is going to help you psychologically connect with your audience and be algorithmically friendly to position you alongside your competitors, so a potential client can find you easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I have, Holly knows already, but I have a very strong take on data, because in automations, you basically build everything upon data. What else can you do? And I think that 99%, maybe even more, of all data we're looking at is a waste of time. And
Agreed.
it's usually very simple. If you have a website which is supposed to create leads, you only need to take a look on how many leads did it do. And also, it goes even deeper. It's in the end, it's only about like, okay, how many conversions did we make? And so we do a lot for e-commerce in pharma, and it's only about sales. Everything is about sales, and we don't care about how many emails did we send, or how many people came to the websites. It doesn't matter. In the end, the only thing we get paid for is how many sales did we create, and how many touch points did lead to a single sale. So I think it's in the end, it's very simple. And the ugly truth, the emotionally ugly truth about it is, especially in SMBs, most of the people in SMBs sit there alone because their team needs to do the other work. So founders and people sit there and create these websites or these assets and pour their heart in, and in the end, nobody cares. It's like it's really bad. So you need to find some anchor where you can hold on, and then you look at, okay, 10 people were there for 3 minutes. That's great, and nobody cares. So in it's really hard looking at data, and I think that's the reason why so many people look at vanity metrics instead of the hard truth, because it usually gives you a hard kick, and you immediately know that you're working on the wrong thing. So yeah, this can be so. Yeah.
I've built my business to have my team be able to help small and medium businesses with building their websites. Where I add the most value and where I do consulting with larger enterprises is actually with the data and analytics side of things. And I'm thinking of a consulting project where I was working between the executive team and the data science team, building out the dashboard. And one of the things that I kept having to bring up at meeting after meeting as we're going through and building these dashboards is, all right, this metric that we're talking about, if the number goes up, down, stays the same, what are you going to change in your business? And if the answer was, well, we don't know, then that doesn't need to be in the dashboard. We might collect the data. It can be in a database somewhere. We'll come back and look at it later. But if you don't have a business decision related to this number moving, don't put it in the report. Don't put it in the dashboard. The data scientists can keep it in a database, and if we want to look at it later, we can bring it back up. But that significantly shrunk the scope of the project and made it possible to actually get the project done on time, because the executive team, all of us here, we'd love to see all the numbers, but they don't necessarily help drive the business. And the data science team loves to collect all the numbers. So you have this vicious cycle where everybody wants to collect all the numbers and report all the numbers. Get it to the point, if you're not changing something in your business, go look at a different number.
Yeah, totally. Love that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Alex, going back to you real quick, you are definitely one of our automation experts here, automating things across complex industries that you work in. Where would you say, once people have established the basics that we've talked about, they've got the brand, they've got the basic website, where do they start with automation to make their marketing scalable?
I think so. Of course, it depends on the niche. If it is something you can publish stuff for, because like for us, for example, so our automation company, so we do cold outreach. We have a list of 100, so the famous list of 100, and so basically there are finite customers available in our industry. So we don't do lead generation on our website. Of course, we have like a few things on our website which you could theoretically like sign up and buy, but hardly nobody does. So once every 5 years, somebody calls because they saw the website. Most of the time we go after them. So, but it depends on your niche. And let's say you have something people are actively looking for. So people are looking it up. So like e-commerce, or like a service business, like you're a plumber or something. Then you actually should starting to collect leads, because it's the easiest. It's a very simple metric. It's straightforward, and you can So I think this is the easiest workflow or the easiest automation you can build. You start collecting leads on your website, so you drive traffic there with paid ads usually. You drive traffic to your website. The website states it's some kind of landing page which gives you a value proposition, like, okay, we're making your bathroom nicer, whatever. If you're interested, sign up to like the 5 DIY methods on how to do it. Then you sign up for the white paper, and then you get like bombarded. Then you get like 7 emails in 7 days or something, where you basically find out, is the person actually interested, and is this person actually a warm lead or not? And if they somehow open your emails, and if you somehow can afterwards like pin down that they are interested, optimally they would like create an appointment or something, then it's a working funnel. If not, you need to do another experiment and find something else which you can try. So this is usually I would suggest doing something like this. Create a very simple metric which puts your business potentially forward, and build a tiny automation around it, like email. Email is most straightforward. It's super easy. It's extremely cheap, and you can drive traffic there with paid ads, which is the cheapest thing you can do. Better than building a sales team and have like phone scripts and so on. So
yeah, getting really good at getting the leads in then allows you to kind of change gears, and then you can focus on other things like doing the sales, having a sales team, and the follow-up. But none of that is useful if you don't have strong pipeline of leads coming in.
Exactly. And also you can it's very simple to change the type of lead if you use paid traffic, because you can just change the audience which you're showing the paid ad. So it will drive different types of people to your landing page, and then you can directly measure group A against group B, and then you understand better who is actually your target audience, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, Alex.
Well, speaking of go ahead, Frank.
I was going to agree with Alex that getting to those leads is a really good KPI to go after. If you're lucky enough to have an e-commerce website, the sale actually happens on the website, and you can optimize even closer because you have the sale. But for most business models, the lead is probably the most closely related to a sale that you can measure on the site and optimize towards. Always starting from how do I put revenue in the bank, and then work backwards from there. And most businesses don't have a sophisticated enough mathematical model to consider how much revenue a like on Facebook might be worth. So don't even bother trying to optimize for those.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
2 points were made. Alex mentioned how with his primary industry that generally leads don't come through his website. And that is true with a lot of B2B businesses. And usually where they go wrong with their automation is they set their metrics up as if they were a B2C company, and having that expectation only to be disappointed. You've got to understand your sales cycle. If you're in B2B, if you have a high ticket item that can take, or an offering that takes anywhere from 9 to 18 months to close, realistically, they are going to your website. They are not going to fill out some form. They're going to be browsing for something specific, and your site is going to be mainly a resource to support your sales process along the way. So factoring that in mind, what type of business are you? Who is your clientele? Who is your audience? And being clear on all of that is going to make a night and day difference. And I love what Frank said as far as the likes. The way I explain that to my clients is Starbucks in the history of social media has never been able to attach revenue to a like, share, or comment, and they are within 6 degrees of separation of every person on the planet, independent of technology.
Wow.
If they can't do it, chances of you doing it are not likely. Can it be done? Maybe. But most businesses, that is not your business model. So why are you trying to focus on inventing a wheel that has nothing to do with what is going to generate you revenue and help you grow your business?
Excellent points
absolutely.
here.
I think I just want to, what Melanie says it's totally true, and I think the biggest problem we have as a society with people who need or people who want to build a business and so on is that we are looking at examples like Starbucks, for example, or I really love Red Bull. So I don't drink it, but I love the brand. It's just unbelievable. And Red Bull has its own subsidiary. It's another company which is called Red Bull Media House, and they only produce media. And they are the guys sponsoring all the extreme sports. They are the guys having Formula One teams, which are their own companies in themselves, and so on and so forth. It's just unbelievable how much is done only to do brand awareness. And it's only about brand awareness, and nobody can say, I mean, and we come back to the how much metrics do you need? In the end, under the line for Red Bull, it's only important how much cans of Red Bull they are selling. That's their product. All the other ventures, all the other companies are subsidized by the main brand Red Bull in order to operate. And it's only to drive Red Bull can sales. Nothing else matters. And if, I don't know, the second Formula One team fails financially, they will put money in because it brings so much more eyeballs on your brand. And this is just something we get as a marketing example, but we cannot use it. But what we can use is the only important metric is how much money do we get in a bank, and has any of what we are doing actually to do with it. So I think that the only important thing is, do we create profit, not revenue? I really hate is a strong word, but I actually hate when people talk about revenue because it's so unsignificant. Nobody needs talking about revenue. I know people who make so much revenue and are broke because they don't make profit. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think that's in the end, it's so simple, and this is so terrifying because it's just such a pain.
Related to that difference with profit and revenue, I had a discovery call with a client that they were working with another agency, and they were spending $10,000 a month. And their core question to me was, is this a good thing? Are we getting value from it? And without seeing any of the dashboards or any of the analytics, without getting access to any of the systems, I asked them, what is your revenue model? How much do you expect to spend on marketing? And what do your margins look like and such? And just a basic conversation like that, they should expect within their model, if they spend $10,000 on marketing, to have with their model to be able to work, an increase of $100,000 in new revenue. Anything less than that, they're actually just increasing their overall costs. Mm-hmm. And they said, oh, great, we have $100,000 in revenue. And I said, no, new revenue. So if you didn't do the marketing thing, if you would have had 70,000, you need to have 170,000 to make it that your marketing is worth it versus just reducing your margins elsewhere. And when they looked back at the numbers, they're like, oh yeah, we should not be doing this anymore. It's not that marketing doesn't work, it's that you need to understand the mathematical model, you need to look at that data and then make competent decisions based on that. And a lot of agencies don't have those conversations and don't really get into the details of that reporting because it's not in their best interests. So I prefer to start from conversations around that data. And it sounds like everybody else here also enjoys digging into those equations.
To build off what Frank was just saying, I want to add the clarification of there's a difference between marketing and advertising. When we're paying to run ads, that is a different mindset, that is a different set of expectations than marketing as a whole. Marketing involves the entire process, so you can't always directly correlate an action to a result. Advertising is when you are paying to receive ads. And in having those conversations, I started to smile and laugh when he said I had a prospect paying $10K and ads a month, because that's a regular thing that happens to me. I will get new clients that come, they're like, oh, I'm paying $10K and getting nothing in return, and I've been doing this for over a year. First of all, why? And second of all, from there, it's okay, let's look at why you're not getting anything from it. Are your systems, are your processes, are your operations connected to make sure that you can actually follow up with leads? So it's not just this one-off thing that you're chasing the vanity metrics that don't matter. So it's a both and. And if a company is going to stop, I know a conversation I proactively have is if you want to stop, and even if it is the best approach, you have to understand if organically you are here, the second you stop paying, your ranking goes down because you are being punished for stopping the ads. So you will have to organically build yourself back up, going to that strategy that Frank was talking about earlier, making sure you're regularly publishing or pushing out content, regularly engaging. Different platforms have different rules as far as how to rank on their platform. LinkedIn, for example, they openly admit that the best way to rank in their platform is by engaging on others' content. So I give my clients the ratio of 5-to-1. Every one piece of content that you wish to push out, you need to engage with 5 others' content with genuine engagement. Something you liked about it, something you didn't like about it, a question, something that shows actual thought and humanness, not AI generated.
Yeah, that's the reason why I don't like social media. Because it's not you cannot automate it, right? You need to spend the time
it is.
there.
Exactly.
I really hate being on social media. That's the reason why I am on social media, but I don't. I never go there. And I also don't create AI content on social media because I pay my team to do the outreach by hand, and I do the conversion. So I do the sales calls, and so we are a tiny business, but anyways, we do profit, and that's the great thing about automations, right? For me, if you found the thing you can actually automate, then you are on the winning side, because then you created proof that something is actually working as it should, and then you can automate it. So yeah, I think that's the reason why I love paid ads, because paid ads. So for my clients, we only run paid ads. We don't do social media. I mean, most of them have their own social media teams in-house and blah blah, but we run paid ads on the store or on the landing pages with coupons or whatever, and then they convert from there. And this is very, very simple and very scalable. So the paid ad is way easier scalable, in my opinion, or in my what I experienced. It's so much easier to scale anything you pour money in and get money out than anything where you pour your time and effort in and then hopefully have a great touch point, which hopefully creates money at the end. But it's a touch point. It's brand awareness, which can be amazing. And on the long run, it can be gigantic. So I in the beginning, I created 200 YouTube videos, and yeah, they convert until this day. That's amazing. So, but this is an automation basically. It's you create this fundament of content, which people are looking for, and then it creates leads. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But
Well, guys, we are running short on time here. I want to do one final lightning round, give everyone a chance to answer in just a few sentences. What is your best advice for business leaders today who want to take that first step in marketing automations that bring real results here in the next quarter? And Eric, we can start with you.
Yeah, I think it's highly important to understand where your audience, where your ICP consumes information and how they make buying decisions. So I think that comes before anything else. I don't think SEO works for everybody. I don't think paid ads necessarily works for everybody. I think it's really important to understand, pick 10, 15 of your people who fit in your ICP, the type of buyer, who it's going to be, the industry you want to work in, people who have the budgets, and have a conversation with them about where they consume information and how they make buying decisions. We figured out for one of my companies that people make buying decisions within their network. So they're going to ask people who they trust. They're not going to look at ads. They're going to scan over ads. They see ads on Google search, and then just doesn't resonate with them. But what that did is it gave us a list of people, influencers in the industry who people trust, that we could reach out to and do a joint collaboration with. And it brought in a ton of leads for us because our ICP makes buying decisions through their network, through asking people who they trust. So I think that that's the most important thing before you decide on any sort of acquisition channel, where to put money, before you put money in paid ads or SEO or anything else, is to understand how they make buying decisions and where they consume information. If they give you a list of newsletters that they read or something like that, it gives you a list of places where you could potentially sponsor ad space to get in front of that ICP. Most important thing, everybody skips that step, it seems, at least from my perspective. Understand your ICP before you make any of these decisions around where to spend money, how to message these people. It also gives you good information on pain points, overall brand messaging, like how you need to communicate with these people. So that would be the best thing I would recommend that somebody does, is understand who you're talking to.
Great advice. Melanie, how about you? What is your 1 to 2 sentence advice for leaders looking to make some serious results here in the next quarter?
Just because you can automate doesn't mean you should automate. I love responding to automation going, isn't automation great? So be intentional about what, when, where, and how you build automation into your marketing initiatives, and make sure that it is written towards a particular person. So in your mind, when it's being written, think of your particular best client, the most profitable, the one you enjoy working with the most. Write all of your messages towards that one client, and you will have a higher conversion.
Love it. Very specific. Goes back to what Eric was saying with the ICP as well. Alex, how about you? Final advice.
Yeah, I mean, what Melanie said is really good, and I think it's, and of course Eric, you as well. I think knowing who you're targeting is the basic, but then start with a single small automation if you want, and work on this one single piece you started with until it works. Don't dump it and start another new shiny thing. I think that's the biggest trap. You go from shiny thing to shiny thing, and in the end, nothing works because you never figured out how to get anything to work. So it doesn't matter what you start. Bring it to at least a single sale, and then you can start comparing. So build your baseline, make a first sale with any automation, and then you can compare it to some other automation or make tweaks.
Awesome. Good advice. Frank, how about you? What's your closing advice for everyone?
I'm going to talk about laying that foundation and getting started collecting data to be able to inform a lot of the other recommendations that everybody shared. So for some people, they prefer to create video content. Others prefer an audio podcast. Some prefer writing out long form blog posts and such. However you prefer to communicate, one of the really cool things about the world that we live in today is that you can take one media format and turn it into all of the other media formats. So create that first piece of some form of long form content that gets your unique ideas and conversations that you'd like to have with clients, kind of like what Alex talked about with his YouTube videos are continuing to be his sales force to this day. Put that content out there and then use the different automations and tools that are available to you to repurpose that into the multiple different formats and push it out into the different platforms and collect the data about what's working. There's always more that you can do, but rather than getting stuck in trying to build the most perfect system, start collecting data and define perfect based on what drives sales.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing this advice. I think our audience got bonus. Not only did they learn about marketing and automations and branding, they got pure like finance and business and strategy advice here as well. I want to go around one last time and give everyone an opportunity to, if people want to continue the conversation with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you or learn more about what you do in your business? We'll start down again with Melanie.
You're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn with Melanie Asher, or you're welcome to go to my site, amical.com. I have an entire section of bonus resources of ebooks and a podcast. So help yourself.
Awesome. Eric, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, Eric Carroll on LinkedIn. I'm posting multiple times per week on LinkedIn. So to follow me there, I talk a lot about AI visibility these days, which is a big topic in search. Also, our website, dofollow.com, we have a bunch of resources on there as well.
Perfect. Alex?
Easiest way is, of course, by email at alex@automatethis.pro, or at the website automatethis.pro, or at YouTube at automatethis.
Awesome. Check out those YouTube videos. All right. And Frank, how about you?
I send out a weekly email telling small businesses how to grow their business online with one small actionable tip each week. And that is called Grow with Opsis. And you can find the link to sign up at opsis.com.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to our incredible panelists for your wisdom and stories, actionable insight that you shared today. And to those that are watching, thank you for joining us for this powerful conversation. As a special thank you, I want to offer a free access to a masterclass called Delegate to Dominate, where I walk through exactly how top leaders are reclaiming 15 to 30 plus hours a week with the right strategic support. You can watch the masterclass and unlock a special bonus just for watching it from viewers from our panel at workergenix.com/bonus-masterclass. Thank you again, everyone, for being with us today, and we'll see you all at the next Executive Edge Live.